SquareHammer.
What is up, SquareHammers? What is up, YouTube? It has been a while since I have done a video. Just haven't been filming very much. Been playing 40K, been playing Old World here and there. I've had some people over to play games, traveled a little bit to play some games, just haven't been filming. But 1.5.2 is now out. If anyone's here, actually I see, can you just let me know that you can hear me? Everything sounds good. It's interesting. So I started to read it maybe 20-30 minutes ago. It looks like it is not as in-depth as most of us had wanted. They did fix some things that people were looking to have a little bit less broken. But I know I'm a little early. I think I'm early by like 3 minutes, but whatever, I'm here. Here we are. So thank you for joining me. It's been a while, as I just mentioned. But, okay, let's dig in. So you can see that we have a Ravening Hordes. Where is that? That's over here. We have Ravening Hordes, Cathay, the Rulebook, and the Forces of Fantasy have all been updated. Sadly, nothing from Legends. I think that was a big letdown for a lot of people. They wanted to see either Lizardmen get some love, Dark Elves maybe, and Skaven get some love. Obviously, everyone wants a little bit of changes just to boost their army a little. There were some nerfs that I've seen in red. Most everything I've learned so far is just when people were commenting on Facebook or in some group chats I'm in or Discords. I tried to stay away from it so I could live read this with y'all as well. So let's get started. So Ravening Hordes. No, we'll start with Cathay. I think I have that up first. Baron just brought his toy over. He wants to play. Sorry, buddy. We did go on a walk today, and it was very tough because it's still ice everywhere, so I had to make sure they were going super slow so I didn't fall and they didn't yank me. Okay, so Cathay. All right, the Cathayan Warhorse, delete first charge. Okay. That's the core troop, I think. Why would they get rid of that? Is that because they're not actually heavy cavalry? They're more light cavalry? All right, that's fine. Change the toughness to 4. That's huge. Okay. Yes, the ice is crazy. So I have 2 dogs. They're about 100 pounds each, and I had to be very careful because it is extremely slick. And I wrap them around my waist. I'm not like holding them by my hands. So it was very tough. We did walk by a couple other dogs, so I was a little worried about them getting jumpy and wanting to go play with the other dog. But luckily, I kept them in line. Okay, so let's see. Toughness 4 for a Sky Lantern. That is just right there is massive because then all the strength for crossbows and handguns and even regular bows will only need 5s to wound or 4s to wound. Flip them, and that's very important. Okay, I'm sure they still keep their 7 wounds. That's what I'm guessing. And characters, I think that means their characters are not going to get any toughness buff unless some of the hero level ones are only T3. Okay, not bad. Commander, delete champion from the commander's profile. That's nice because then you can't just be challenged out. You can't challenge out a dragon if a dragon and like some dragon ogres or something charge you. You can just be like challenge, and then only the dragon gets to swing. Usually that might kill you anyways, but still. Delete unbreakable and add flammable. Why would they add flammable? I mean, it sounds cool, adding flammable, but flammable is only if you had a regen save. Why would they add flammable? Unless they somehow GW thinks flammable means you should take an extra wound, right? I think Tomb Kings is like dry as dust. You take another wound on like a 4-up or something, and I think Treemen have it, and some other trees. But flammable is just you just don't get a regen save, right? Versus flaming attacks. Okay, but removing unbreakable is massive. Moving unbreakable is massive. Ah, here, go. Yeah, come here. Give me that toy. Whatever. Let's see. Disengage. Let's see what disengage is. That's the one. It's like when you're fighting, and let me make this so y'all can see. There we go. Disengage. I'm going to see what the change is. Should this model lose a round of combat and give ground, it may choose to fall back in order instead. Enemy units can follow up as if this model had given ground, moving 2 inches directly towards it but cannot pursue it. In addition, should it win a round of combat and choose to restrain and reform, this model may choose to fall back in good order rather than remain where it is. Okay, I assume... So you're not unbreakable. And if you just give ground normally like an unbreakable unit would, you can fall back in order instead. Okay. But then you can only move torrents to it, but you can't pursue it. And if you win, you can fall back in good order. Is that worth a change? What's the change there? Obviously, being unbreakable is a huge impact on itself. Let me pull up Cathay. Oh, that's the FAQ. There it is. Dun, 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 dun. Disengage. Oh, this might be the one that's not. Yeah, it is. Okay. Balloons. Everyone's favorite. But just going to T4, losing unbreakable. All right, can y'all read this? It's going to be very tough, I think, for y'all to read. Let's see. There we go. It's best I can do for y'all. Should this model lose a round in combat, make time to disengage by making a leadership test if this test is passed? Okay, so you don't have to take a leadership test anymore. If it's failed, you give ground. Well, okay, so that seems better for them. They don't have to take a leadership test. They can just disengage. Am I missing something there? They can just disengage? Well, no, there's no longer a leadership test, and that seems important. So I guess they... That's confusing. So does that just mean you don't have to take a leadership test from losing combat? No, only if it gives ground. I'm sorry. Okay. So you could still lose a round of combat and just flee now. That's good. Okay, but you know, if you don't flee and you give ground, you can fall back, fib go instead. All right, cool. Not a problem. I'm okay with that. I think that's a fair change. Just having the option to lose and flee is pretty good. Okay, so now the bombing run is once per game, and it's against a unit not in combat. Once per game is a huge change because a lot of dwarf players were very upset when the Sky Lantern can just bomb every single freaking turn. I know the dwarf gyro bomber can still do that, but that's actually a bomber. It should be equipped with multiple, so that makes sense. Ogre loader, delete character from the troop type. Mercenary crew, change the first 2 sentences. An ogre loader is an additional crew member that can be taken as an upgrade to accompany a Cathayan war machine. During deployment, position an ogre with its war machine as you would with any other crew member. Okay, that opens up a little bit of can of worms. So I don't think the wounds are added to the cannon from shooting, but in close combat, that changes stuff. So if you kill the cannon, a lot of people would say, since it was a character, if you kill the cannon from shooting, or even in close combat, the ogre loader, does it die? Or is it, is it by itself now? I think raw, that means it was by itself. But now, it's actually just part of the cannon. It's kind of like a upgrade for a bully, like a orc lava, like a bully or something. But in combat, what toughness do you use? Are you using the crew or the ogre loader? You would think it would be majority toughness of the unit, but all the crew counts as one model, right? Kinda. Because I think under the profile, it's like one model with multiple wounds. Uh, the ogre dies with the crew or something. Yeah, from shooting, but that's interesting. I think combat is the only thing that's confusing to me there. How does combat work with an ogre loader now? All right. Not sure how that would work. The standard goes up to 60. Okay, whatever. Icon of Heavenly Fury. Change the during the command phase sub-turn. If they are not engaged in combat, the bearer of this banner may attempt to unleash its power by making a leadership test. If the test is passed, okay. So this changed to 45 points. Is this not one use only? Icon of Heavenly Fury. 1 second. A banner that lets you, for 45 points, every single turn, shut down, fly, is disgusting. I know it went up in points. All right, so it went up 10 points, but it said single use. Let's see, do they... Oh, just the second and third sentences have changed. So the first sentence of single use still remains. They should just... Honestly, they should probably just have written it in here to say, like, rewrite the whole thing, change the entire entry, just so people don't miss, like I kind of did, second and third sentences. Okay, so it's 45 points now. Went up 10 points. It makes it more in line with the new generic banner. But now they can spend 85 points to get a generic banner plus this banner. So they can shut down fly for 2 turns if they pass their leadership checks. But you're also investing 85 points. Dragon Eyes banner, change the second sentence on a 4-up. Okay, I think this is the one that was a 3-up before. Yeah, chooses a unit carrying the Dragon's Eye banner on 3-up. It's weird that they got this because it's the same as ogres with like the rune maul. I don't understand why they couldn't come up with something, you know, unique for Cathay instead of copying their rules, but it is what it is. All right, so you're still spending 30 points, but now it's just a 50% chance. Not awful. The Maul Shard goes to 50. Anyone remember what that does? Most people don't take items like this. I think in competitive play, most people don't see these. That went up 10 points. Okay. Sure. Not a huge deal. I think the biggest deal for the Cathay change so far was just the nerfing of the balloons. Like, that's T4. You lose Unbreakable. You only get one thing of bombs, or once per turn, or sorry, once per game you get a bomb. That's pretty big. Ah, okay. This is good. This was taken by every Cathay player ever. It is now only bounce spell level 1 that gives you the Plague of Rust. I think it was level 3. It was power level 3 before. I believe that is correct. Yep, power level 3. Yes, that is disgusting. It's still 35 points. It's still Plague of Rust for power level 1. Does anyone know what power... what does Plague of Rust go off on? Is that an 8 or a 9? Anyone know off the top of their head? It's either an 8 or 9, right? Lore of Yin. A wizard with the Lore of Yin special rule may discard one of their randomly generated spells as normal. Okay, that's not a big deal. Oh, that's huge. I just skipped right to that because I saw Dragon Fire Bombs, and I was like, that seems important. So that used to be Strength 4. So not only did they lose Unbreakable, they went down a Toughness, and the strength of their bombs, went, like basically their stand and shoot kind of stuff, went down to 3 instead of 4. That is very impactful because Cathay balloons, multiples of those, just you're basically playing 40k in a Warhammer the Old World game. Casting value of 9. Okay, so you have to roll an 8 just to get off the Alchemist Mask. I don't know if you're going to see it as much anymore. When the Ruby Ring of Ruin went up 5 points, and it went down to power level 1, so you need to roll a 7 instead of 6. You basically don't see it in competitive play. Now you might not see this in competitive play either, because that's huge. You have to roll an 8 on this thing, and that's, I mean, it's not awful, right? That's just barely under 50%. Might still be worth it, but let's see what else they changed. Let's see, what did they actually do to the Cathayan Lance? Model Street type cavalry monster, chariot only. Cathayan's Lance, strength and armor piercing, blah, 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 blah. Oh, okay. Not a huge deal. That's, it has to be more than that. Yeah, okay, good. Ring of Jet. Delete the asterisk. Okay, so now you can no longer just have this 1,000 times. So Unquiet Spirits wasn't... Wait, was that power level 3 too? Where are you at? Where are you, sir? Oh, that's in the Storm Dragon one. Okay. So that was... I believe that was power level 3 as well, and you just... It might have been 2. But you had Unquiet Spirits, which I think is like 3d6 strength 2, no armor saves. And you could just take a gajillion of those, which seems ridiculous. So I guess they set this down to power level 1 to be in line with the Alchemist Mask along with the Ruby Ring of Ruin, because it just became shenanigans. Shenanigans. And we don't like shenanigans. Alright. Some may call it fair. Yeah, some may call it fair. It does seem like a lot of these rules I hear that they brought Cathay down. They brought... This is what I've heard. Tomb King's got a little nerfed. Brett's got nerfed. Cathay got nerfed. I don't know if anyone else really got hit too hard. So I've been hearing that vampire counts are the bee's knees right now. I'm not sure if that's true, because if everyone else got hit, if everyone else, let's just say there's like 5 armies about teeter in the same line, everyone else gets hit, then whoever doesn't get hit gets a little bump. And since they didn't touch Legacy, well, I hope they do. I still hope they do. I'm still holding that out for that. Okay, Heavenly Beacon allows you to modify the roll by +1 or -1 when rolling to determine if ambushers arrive. If this is cumulative, in other words, it is +2. No. Good. Only +1, -1 if you have more Sky Lanterns. Not that I think many people ran this, because most people just spammed balloons, as many cannons as they can. That's competitive play. Maybe people will start taking the Big Sentinel a little bit more. It's such a cool model. I know it's a pain to build. That's all I've heard, is that it's a pain to build. I have a couple. I have a new unboxed Cathay army that I purchased when it was released, but I just never built it, because after I learned how nasty it was, I was just like, I can't do that. Don't get me wrong, I've taken plenty of busted lists before, but bringing that many lanterns to a game, that's not fun for anybody. Okay, let's see. Hey, they clarified this. That's good. Are the effects of the Grand Cannon's Thunderous Impact special roll cumulative? In other words, if a unit is within range of 2 strike points, does it suffer -2 to its movement characteristic? No, it is not cumulative. All the dwarves clap. Yes, very nice, GW. Because if you had 2 cannons with 2 ogre loaders, you don't even need to shoot them both twice. You can just shoot 3 times, and dwarves can't move, which is ridiculous. Or even if you're Brett Pegasus and you shoot 4 times, your movement's 6 now. Which is ridiculous. Like, how can you give Cathay something that shuts down the enemy's movement and cuts off Swift Stride, and then also give them the most mobile unit that's ever existed? To sell models. Yes, that is exactly right, Blue. Yes, correct. Okay, Master of the Elemental Winds can only be used once per game, but is this once per wizard or once per army? Once per army. Not sure if that was ever in contention, but not a big deal. Okay, so Cathay. What are you saying? Some call them Wand of Magical Attacks for the army. Yep. Vile Tide is now casting value 9. Well, we haven't gotten there, but I think it was at 8 before. So now that it's harder to cast, and they increase the casting value, that's good, because Vile Tide is one of the most busted spells in terms of damage output. Casting value 9. But I think Beastmen can still get +3 pretty easily. What's that detachment of Beastmen? I don't remember the name of it, but then they could also use the big rock. Okay, so let's go Forces of Fantasy. Let's see what's changed. Okay, Rangers have a max size of 20. That's good. I think that's okay. You didn't really want to see crazy skirmishers. Most people don't like how the rules of skirmishers work right now. They can be very gamey. Ooh, some empire changes. Hey! There you go, Jonesy. Or Chris, whatever you want to be called. Everyone gets a little leadership bump. Priests go up to 8. That's nice. Lector go up to 9. That's nice. I think that lets you basically take a BSB in some position and then a general and others. But that's nice. I think Empire could use a little buff to the leadership. That works. Priest of Ulrich. Yes. Excellent, excellent. Okay, clouds of smoke, change following rules. Unless it's mounted, this model is be considered behind full cover walls within 3 inches. Friendly toothless type is War Machine. Alright, whatever. Not a big deal. Was that really it for Dwarves, though? They just got the Skirmisher change, and Empire got some leadership changes? Oh. Flagellants are T4? Okay, they didn't go down in price. I think they're pretty expensive, but T4 is nice. They were easily just shot to pieces before with even just any kind of magic missile or just small arms fire. So that'll give them some defense. Ah, yeah, okay, I heard about this one. So the Royal Pegasus is now a monstrous creature. So I believe that means he no longer has 360 line of sight on a Royal Peg. That's pretty important. That's pretty important. I wonder if people are going to start just defaulting to the Hippogriff instead, or would they stay on a Royal Pegasus? I agree. Hag Tree is what makes it busted anyways, but if you just take like a Power Scroll or something like that and you know you need to get it off at least one turn. Interesting. The Pole Arm. Fight extra rank. Okay, I think that's fair. Nothing wrong with that. I like how pole arms can be used. So it's not a hand. You can't use it with a shield to get an extra combat for parry, right? You can't do single hand plus a shield. It has to be a hand weapon. But you could keep the armor save if you wanted to fight an extra rank. But most people that have pole arms aren't going to be. They're mostly trying to stay alive for combat res. So I feel like just using a hand weapon shield for parry just seems better than an extra, like, I don't know, let's just say 8 max strength 3 attacks. I don't see how that's good. Unless I'm missing something. Battle Pilgrims. I think they were 8 points before. So that's good because you never see these on the field. I have a bunch, man. I've always wanted to run a full Bretonnian infantry army. And I finally got a whole bunch of third edition ones painted. So I'm trying to run a whole bunch of third edition knights and men-at-arms, some archers, along with like some battle pilgrims I have to just run a whole infantry army. I think that would be cool. But going down, that's good. I don't remember what their size was before. But with 30 battle pilgrims plus a Grail Reliquary, then that means they can get 36 strong. I think in their 6th through 8th edition codex, I think the max you could do was 24 with a Reliquary. I think so. I got Baron next to me whining. What is it? What? You just want some scratches, I guess. Little head scratches. Okay. You were just outside. Relax. Wood Elves. Nothing crazy. Okay. So Glade Guard went down. That's nice. Eternal Guard went down. That's nice. But, I mean, still 10 points for toughness 3, no armor save. They're still very expensive for what they are, as they've always have been. But going down a little bit is nice. How many points... Does anyone here watching, do they run Wood Elves? And if they do, how many points change in your list? I'm guessing like max of 50 or something. Maybe 50 points extra. Dryads go to movement 6 and Armor Bane. That's nice. Okay, because I think they were movement 5 before. So movement 6 is pretty good. Armor Bane 1's okay, because I hope they have 2 base attacks. Glade Riders went down in points, and you could take them size of 4+. Why would you ever take a Glade Rider unit of only 4, especially when the new match play guide is like unit strength 10 of everything to like score? I hope they changed something in the match play guide. I hope they changed it to not just infantry. Not just core, but that they made it so all infantry, even if it's just heavy and light, not monstrous, even if they just made all heavy and light infantry, scoring would be great. I bet they didn't do that. Sisters of the Thorn changed to 22. Okay, so they dropped some points. I'm gonna guess people gained 50 points on their list. Wild Riders went down too. What were they before? Does anyone know? Oh, no, I'm gonna check it. Wild Riders. I love Wild Riders. I need more of them. I think I only have like 7. Wild Riders. Where you at? Wait, there's no way the Old World app already updated. It's saying they're 26 a model right now. Did they really already update it? That would be nuts if they already updated it. Okay, maybe they did. Good on them. All right. I'm guessing it was 28 and they were 140 base, so I guess they went down 2 points. That would be impressive if they did already do that. Okay, General Hans von Lowenhake went up to leadership 10. That's good. Oh, that's big. Doomseeker's lost character, troop type, and add skirmishers to the list of the special rules. Okay, so now they're -1 to shoot. Actually, I think they already were. Wait, did they not have 360 line of sight before? Were they in like open order? So that means they couldn't charge 360, but now they can. But now they lost character type. So now they have to run by themselves. Do Doomseekers have the challenge ability? So now they don't have the challenge ability. And they can't join a unit of Slayers anymore. I really liked that, putting a Doomseeker in a Slayer unit. That was a lot of fun. Andrew, I see what you did with that short and sweet for dwarves. That's going in the book. That's a grudging. Shame him for that. Shame him for that. Von Trickshots, Wonders, whatever. I can't remember how to pronounce that. Magical Tax, whoop-de-doo. Wait, what? That can't be right. A Warhorse can be on a 25 by 50 or 30 by 60. Ah, it's not a Barded or a Bretonnian Warhorse. So that is just for damsels. I guess that would let them go into Yeoman pretty well if they're 25 by 50. Right? Because for an instance, I thought that they were changing all the Bretonnian horses to be allowed on 25 by 50s. And I was like, what? All my bases are legal for them? Whoa. Nah, okay. So still adapters and still movement trays. Boo-hoo. Okay, so I guess that's a cool change. Not a huge deal. Is that it? I thought Bretonnia had something else, but... oh well. Let's see. So for Wood Elves, delete Fear from the list of special rules. What? Why would they delete Fear? That doesn't make sense. Does it cause terror already and they just wanted to get rid of that? Add the following to the end of the rule. In addition, whilst one or more of the Hounds of Orion remains, Orion himself cannot be targeted by enemy shooting. Cannot be targeted by enemy shooting. Okay, so cannons could still shoot at him because they don't technically target a unit. They just target a point on the ground by enemy shooting. So does that mean anything? Any kind of shooting attack, magic missiles, small arms fire, screams? By enemy shooting. Is anything ranged in like the shooting phase considered a shooting just considered shooting. I wanted to say shooting and attack, but this doesn't say shooting and attack. It just says enemy shooting. I still don't think Orion is worth it, even with that. He's just too expensive and too killable. But I guess that means he's survivable to get to where he needs to get into combat. I'm not really sure if that's... He's still... Sorry if I'm shaky and I'm scratching the dog. 150 points different. Magic bullets? Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. We're going to curve him. What's that movie where he shoots and it's like... And he curves it around? So weird. Physically impossible, but that is okay. It's cool. It's a movie. War of Setcher's Fury. War horses that become heavy cavalry. Oh, no, they're just saying that. Okay, whatever. No toughness on the war horse. I guess it's just confusing people. Feint and dodge once per game. Okay, these are not huge changes. Ooh, that looks big. This looks important. This looks important. I had this come up several times at Nova, but it wasn't with skirmishers. It was the second part, so I can already know what it's saying. All right, so let's get to it. No, not the Matrix. Ugh, silly you. I think it was with like Angelina Jolie or something in some the young man, I suppose, who played. It was like with man, I can picture all their faces. Whatever. Okay, now I got to look that up. That's bothering me. Bothering me. It's like with Mr. Glass. I will find him. Bruce Willis. Yes, yes, yes. He played Mr. Glass. And... No, he wasn't playing Mr. Glass. Sorry, he played the guy who like can't get sick and could lift like a ridiculous amount of weight. And the Beast, that was his name. It was like the Beast. I will find this. All right, so the movie was called Glass. What is his freaking name? It's gonna bother me. There he is, James McAvoy. That's him. That's him. And he played in the one. Okay, so he was in Split. What was it called? I will find you. I will find you. Wanted? Is that it? Yes! Thank you! Thank you, 56 Strudels. I appreciate that. Thank you for helping. Okay. Wanted, that was it. Alright. So, back to Old World. So, when a dug-in unit of skirmishers is charged by an enemy unit, does it lose that status? No. That's important because, well, it doesn't say after they like close up ranks and everything, but I assume that's what they're trying to infer here. But assuming GW is trying to infer anything is when you can get into the problem. Okay, so if you're a engineer, or I think they're called sappers. When a sapper is in a unit of, let's say, rangers, and they dig in where they are, and then you charge the rangers, and they form up, you get to keep the dig in or dug in status. That's good. Because under the dug in, I know it says anytime the unit moves. So the biggest thing was this one right here. If a unit that is dug in becomes engaged in combat, does it lose its status if a model within it accepts or declines a challenge and moves through the ranks? Because that's technically counted as moving, but does it count as the whole unit moving, or did it like just break up dug in? I think I ruled it at Nova as it did not, because that just seemed more, I guess, logical in that point. So no, it does not. So that's good to know. That's good. So if you decline a challenge and you're dug in, then you can send your character. The enemy can send either your character or your champion back. If you don't have a champion, they send the character back, and then you don't lose dug in. That's nice. I guess they just answered this here. No, as per the errata, a Doomseeker is not a character. They are loners and outcasts, even among Slayers as such, and act as a unit of one model. Man, what would you have to do to become a Doomseeker compared to a Slayer? What kind of vile disregard for your king or your honor would you have to do to become a Doomseeker compared to just a Slayer? I wonder what that would be. They're changing the Goblin Hewer. Maybe it's better because right now it's not very worth it. When a Goblin Hewer shoots using the Whirlwind Death special rule, does it add a D3 modifier to the number of shots rolled for each rank or file, or just a single D3 modifier? Just a single D3 modifier. You did not get an extra D3 per rank or file. That's awful. Okay, so the Goblin Hewer wasn't really worth it already, but now if you're shooting at a unit of 5 deep infantry, you only get an extra D3. That's so bad. That's so bad. Why would they do that? Alex, I hope you haven't read this yet because you're going to be disappointed. You already didn't like taking it, but you liked taking it because it was cool. But that makes you not even want to do it at all. Man, that's so pitiful. Bad GW. That's an awful change. Why nerf something that's already never really run? Ridiculous. Okay. GW, please contact me. I would love to help answer some questions or give some ideas of what could be changed to make something more viable, fair, balanced, or just fix its complicated issues where there's contradicting rules, contradicting other rules. Okay, if a unit of enemy infantry charges a unit with the Master Rune of Hesitation, can it make use of Press of Battle rule to fight in 2 ranks? No. Although the rune prevents a charging enemy unit from using certain weapons or special rules, the unit has still charged and thus cannot make use of the Press of Battle rule. Okay, that's fine. I guess that was a clarification people had. If a unit of enemy infantry charges a unit with the Master Rune of Hesitation, does it gain the initiative bonus for charging? Yes. Yeah, that seems obvious. I think because I guess people were getting confused that when you charge and you get the initiative bonus, people were considering that a special rule or something. No, you still got the initiative. You just don't get lances or impact hits, stuff like that. Still a great rune for a banner. Still a great one. Still a great one. This is under Empire. If a model bearing the Laurels of Victory stand shoots as a charge reaction, causing 1 or more unsaved wounds, are those unsaved wounds each worth 2 combat result points? No. Okay. I guess they thought that was too powerful. Not a huge deal. No, it doesn't matter. Let's see what else we got. Lances. Nope, sorry. This one. Can a unit with the finest Warhorse special rule re-roll the dice when using Swift Stride? I already know that's going to say no because it's just the charge roll, not the Swift Stride roll. No, finest Warhorses allows the unit to re-roll its charge roll, but the D6 rolled when using Swift Stride is not part of the charge roll. Yep, it is rolled. Yep, no problem, no problem. That's easy. I guess a lot. So these, from what I remember, GW usually only puts questions or answers to questions in their FAQ updates where they've been submitted a ton via their like Warhammer community ask questions kind of thing. I'm surprised that many people ask that when there are other questions that should probably be answered. Okay. A Wood Elf Noble that belongs to a Wild Rider kindred may only wear light armor, but can they also wear a magical helmet? Yes, a helmet can be worn in addition to light armor. Did that? I guess that needed clarification because it says if it says only wear light armor, does that mean they couldn't wear a shield? Why is that not answered in here? Probably because they have the option to take a shield. But okay, I didn't think that's a huge deal. I want some interesting stuff. Interesting. In a doubles event, match play guide. I need a sip of water. Nah, you got to email them. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, bedazzled helmets. Yep, they can take that for sure. You can have a a Wood Elf guy that's -2 to hit, right? I think so. Still do that. All right, not a huge deal. Okay, nothing crazy for Forces of Fantasy. Cathay was covered, not a huge deal. Actually, sorry, Cathay was a big deal. Cathay changing is big. Let's see. I'm just going to scroll down, see if I can find it for y'all. Quell Impetuosity. Whilst within 6 inches of the unit with a special rule, a friendly impetuous user may re-roll a failed leadership test when testing to determine if it must declare a charge or act as normal. What was it before? What was Quell before? Anyone know off the top of their head? That I do not recall. Well, if they updated the app already, then I'm going to be... He's already updated it, which is congratulations. You are on top of things. And that should be a black orc, right? Most black orc dudes do that. Ah, okay. So no, it used to... I guess they didn't update this. So Quell Impetuosity was for most black orcs. It would just... You get to ignore the impetuous rule. Ignore it. So now it is a reroll leadership test. So not as good. Obviously, just saying no, you don't have to declare a charge is much better than having to re-roll it. But still, a re-roll is pretty good, and they're orcs, so they should be charging anyways. No problem with that. Okay. Someone sent a screen. I can't remember who did that. Posted a screenshot of this one. I instantly thought it was giant chaos spawn, and I was like, "What?" They went from 3d6 to 2d6 plus 1. That is a huge nerf. Huge nerf. But then it was pointed out to me that it's just chaos spawn, and those aren't taken very much. I think they're like 50-some points apiece after you give them like an upgrade of Khorne, Slaanesh, whatever. Still cool. Okay, what were they before? I don't even know what they were before because I have legitimately never seen these in competitive play. Not even in casual games. Not even in casual games. Maybe they got a little bit further. Maybe they were just 2d6 before, and now they got an extra inch. I mean, okay. There's Vile Tide. I'll start on the left side, though. Looks like Minotaurs went down a couple points. Centaurs went down a couple points. Nice. That's good for the big herd, where it's like just a bunch of Minotaurs. That's cool. Vile Tide, yep, this is what Andrew said earlier, went to cast value 9, which is important. I mean, it's not a huge change, but going from an 8 to a 9, it's definitely important. Every inch matters. Yeah. Nah. Lame. Lame joke. Lame joke. Finally, you know what? We figured it out. GW, they sold enough. They sold enough dragons. They sold enough tomb bone dragons. Okay. It only took them an extra how many more months to add this in here? Like, there's no reason that they didn't have this when they updated all the other armors and everything else to only say infantry, cavalry. There's no reason that they didn't do this then, except that they just put out a brand new model. And there you go. The Armor of Ages, which is light armor and makes you re-roll to wound against them, they finally made it infantry, cavalry, or chariot only. Thank goodness, because that was busted. When you're a T6 bone dragon and everything has to re-roll to wound against you, and one of the best things to fight you is Monster Slayer, like, ha ha ha, suck it, re-roll that 6. Like, yeah, pretty lame that they only did it now. Honestly, pretty lame that they only did it now. And I'm not going to grovel to them either. But thanks for making it official. But I think I tried to make that onto my events. I don't remember if I did that for Nova or not, but they should be that. I think I definitely did that for some other events. Because screw that. Okay, Chieftains are 30s, Berserkers are on 30s now. All my 25 millimeters have to be put on adapters now. Man, if I get to the rulebook changes and they didn't switch back Frenzy or Flails, hopefully Frenzy is always +1 attack, because the fact that they nerfed Frenzies and Flails, it just killed my entire Wolves of the Sea army, which it's not amazing, but it was fun to use. But if they did not change that, I would be severely disappointed. Tomb Guard chariots are 49. What were they before? I think their regular chariots were like 45, right? So Tomb Guard chariots probably went down. Probably. That would make sense. Okay, so this is Ravening Hordes FAQ specifically. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Gotta sell dragons and balloons. Yeah, that's right, buddy. You gotta sell dragons and balloons. And they sure did. And all those... I feel... Okay, Cathay is still good. Their cannons are still amazing. Their new units that are coming out are probably going to have some good play. Instead of as many balloons, you can take just the lords on the... what are those things called? I think they start with a T. Teshugans? I'm not sure what they were called. But those things are still cool, and you don't see very many of them. You might see a few of those instead of balloons, which is good because the balloons needed a tone down, but they're still strong. Like most events I see are running anywhere. It's usually 2 max. I've seen some events run allow 3 balloons. So, but 2 balloons now are manageable. They're still very inexpensive for the amount of pain that they can dish out. So if you're a pure combat army with a lack of shooting or even lack of magic missiles, then they will still, it doesn't matter that they're only T4 because you still have to catch them. Unbreakable is good, so if I charge you with a terror-causing, unit, you still have to take a terror test, so you could still just flee, which is nice. But, stuff like that. So still, they are manageable now. Magic missiles can hurt them, but, Okay. What happens to a fanatic that ends its movement within the command range of 1 or more models with the hostile terrain special rule? Who has hostile terrain? I think dwarf sappers have them. Who else has hostile terrain? Not even sure what else has hostile terrain. Okay. The fanatic must make a dangerous terrain test rather than creating an area of dangerous terrain. Hostile terrain represents a model laying traps and creating hazards. Oh, probably like Way Watchers, causing enemy models to make a dangerous terrain test should they end their movement within that area. The fact that they did not make fanatics targetable yet still is ridiculous. GW, you have to make fanatics targetable. I don't care if they're -2 to hit and shooting. Let me spend my 100-point unit of archers or 50-point unit of archers, take its whole turn trying to kill that fanatic at -2. It should be totally allowed. It makes no sense that you can't target them whatsoever. It's ridiculous that it hasn't been updated either. I don't understand it. It makes no sense to me. All right. Ogdra's Swamp Digger has the lore familiar and knows spells from both the lore of elementalism and lore of troll magic. Yeah, choose from both. That makes sense. No problem there. If a troll hag purchases a magic weapon, are any of its special rules conferred onto motherly love attacks? No. Come on. If she attacks normally, she can use her magic weapon. If she makes a motherly, yeah, she doesn't use her magic weapon. Come on, guys. I think that's when you're rolling on a chart. You're rolling on a chart. And I would assume none of those effects stack because that's ridiculous. If a Beastman Brayherd's army includes an allied contingent of Beastmen, can the army contain 2 Herdstones? 1 in the main force and 1 in the allied contingent? Come on. Fair question. Fair question. But no. That would be insane. You could just put them next to each other, like 2. I think they could be 6 inches wide, so you could just have a foot of impassable terrain and just have a unit behind it. You could even put them at an angle in a corner. Put them in a corner somewhere, so then your units can just you can't be targeted ever, and you could just hide. The only thing that could hurt you is indirect. Oh man, that's ridiculous. That would be insane. Okay. Good. Thank you for GW for clarifying no that you cannot do that, because if that was the case, that would be disgusting. Now, I've only seen one event so far, one GT. Let me rephrase that. One GT allow for allies, and that was just the Texas Open that they just had. And only one person took allies, which shocks me. Shocks me. I guess people either didn't know allies could be usable, or they just didn't have another army to use, or they whatever. But only one army took allies, which is shocking. Okay. And you know what? I probably should start interviewing TOs and winners of GTs again. Would y'all like that? Would y'all like me to start interviewing either TOs, how their tournaments went, or going through army lists of tournaments with TOs or their packets or stuff like that? It's been a while since I've done those things, and there's a lot of tournaments coming up. Let me just pull up on my phone. At least here where I am, within 5 hours, there's a lot. So there's the Cherokee Open, which is in less than a month now. It starts February 19th or 20th. It starts on that Saturday. More content, more better. That's okay. Will do. Brawler Bash in North Carolina, March 7th and 8th, run by Ken. We have Adepticon late March, which is a ton. I think that's a 3K event, a doubles event, and a GT. Basically what I do too. It's a lot of fun. Andy runs the GT. I can't remember who runs the... let me see if I remember. Oh, it's Gary. Yeah, Gary runs the 3K. Don't remember who's running the doubles, though. Don't remember who's running doubles. We have, in May, we have the Richmond Open. That's run by Todd. Then the Atlantic City Open is run by Simon. That's June 13th and 14th. I'll post all these. And I know people might have seen that AI, thing I posted, and we're like, this doesn't line up with what it looks like, and one of the words is wrong. And okay, we just try to have a cool image to make it look cool. Whatever. Shut up. It's for fun. It's all for fun, guys. All right. Back to it. Oh, Beltway Battles is, I think, the last month of June. Mall in Ashburn, end of July. Then the Nova Open is the 3rd through the 6th. But yeah, okay. All right, lots of events happening. I agree, Andrew. They're all over the place. Okay. Oh, and I was just told about one. Let me see if I can pull it up. It's in the TO chat. Let's see. German comp's already rewritten. Oh, man, I got to reread that because the Cherokee Open is actually using the Germany comp, which is good. Where did Andy put it? Okay, so a different Andy is running he's looking to run a 100 to 120 player event in San Francisco on August 8th through 9th. It's in the Golden Gate Park. Don't know where that is. And home to the Quake City Rumble. That's how Andy said it to me. He said he just wanted to put it on my radar. So look out for that. It is August 8th and 9th. Try and mark your calendars if you're out near San Francisco during those times. I might try and go. Might be swamped with Nova prep, but it would be fun to be an event that's huge. Okay. Sorry, guys. Let me go back. Doubles. Oh, so if you're playing doubles, you could each take a Herdstone. Oh, my gosh. Oh. I guess that makes sense. It's two different armies. Okay, how does the Dark Coven Army Special Rule from the Wild Herd Army of Infamy interact with the Plague Chalice? In cases such as this, both outcomes can apply. If a natural double is rolled, the spell is cast as a perfect invocation, makes sense, and the caster suffers a hit from the Plague Chalice. Makes total sense. However, the caster and any other members of their coven will also suffer the effects of a roll of the misfire table as per the Dark Coven Special Rule. All right. So that's the one where they all get +1 to cast if I think they're within 6 inches of each other. So you could be a level 3 or 4 with +2. You could be within a Herdstone +3, and then you could be Dark Coven rule +4. I think that's right. So you could still get +4. So even though Vile Tide went up one difficulty to cast, not as bad. But with Magic Resist now, actually MR1 makes it cast on a 10. So that it becomes difficult. You have to roll a 6 with the +4. So it's still not bad. All right. Does the Demon Heart increase its user's dispel range? No. Okay. So Tomb Kings. I had this come up when I was playing Vampire Counts, and I summoned zombies. So I don't know why this is only under Tomb Kings. I feel like this should be under the core rulebook section, not just here. Actually, I guess it does make sense because this is the only army that can raise dudes that aren't in Legacy. So of course they're not going to. I hope they update Legacy and also add this to the Vampire Counts section, because if you have a unit of skirmishers and they take wounds, yes, simply place the resurrected models in coherency within 1 inch of another model with the rest of the unit. And I saw the post, I think it was on Warhammer the Old World, the one with the period at the end. I don't think it was the other one. But are you allowed to daisy chain here? So if I have a unit of 10 guys, I lose, let's say, 5 of them. Can I then, and let's say these 5 are here, can I then raise one within 3 inches, put it here, then put the next one here, then the next one here, then the next one here, then the next one here, and then now my unit is like way up here? I'm going to say no, because it's not like you raise all those models one by one. So you raise it when it's within 1 inch with the rest of the unit. So I would assume that when you raise the undead, they all raise it once, so they all have to be within 1 inch of another model as before you start raising. However, if you lost enough skirmishers that you get to raise dead twice, then I would say this is allowed. I just thought of that. I hadn't thought about that before. Would y'all agree with that? So if you have a unit of 20 crypt ghouls and you lose 10 of them, you have one wizard raise 5. Those 5 have to be within 1 inch here, so then they get this layer of 1 inch here, and then the next wizard raises 5 more, and then they could come off the original 5 that were raised. So it's like 5 and 5. I think that's probably legal since it's separate layers of resurrection. That probably makes more sense. I would say that's more fair, or a fair interpretation of the rules. Who else has skirmishing? I guess Tomb Kings, those skirmishers. They do have skirmishers that can get like ambush and warbows. I guess that's it, right? Just crypt ghouls and them. No, because then you still have like fell bats and bat swarms, tomb swarms, crypt horrors even. I haven't seen those in all of this edition, but crypt horrors. No, that's not right. What are the winged ones? Yeah, that's crypt horrors. Crypt ghouls are the ones on foot. Okay. Sorry if I sound a little weird. I have been talking a lot recently. I mean, a ridiculous amount. Not, but for fun. Okay. On to the core rulebook. We're going for about an hour. This is good. We're making good time. And sorry if the initial start of the video seemed a little weird. It's been a long time since I've done a video, so I know I've messed up a couple times, but hey, I'm just here to chat. Next time I would like to have someone on, though. I want to talk to somebody. All by myself. Don't want to be. All right, let me zoom out because I don't want to do that. All right. First page has nothing. Second page. Frenzy. This modifier does not apply to the model's mount in the case of cavalry model. Beast draw it. No, they didn't change Frenzy back to having +1 attack. That is stupid. GW. Frenzy is already a huge detriment. It makes no sense that you shouldn't have something. That's ridiculous. Okay. What is Frenzy that needed to be nerfed? For real. I don't understand. It didn't make any sense to me. Then it doesn't make any sense now. Poison +2, no problem. Okay, good. I'm glad they changed this. Rules as written. This was allowed. These wounds cannot be recovered by a regeneration save. So unstable, it says when a model loses a wound. Under unstable, it said you would lose a wound, and regen is lose a wound. But they did not clarify, so that means you still can do this via dangerous terrain, because I believe that says lose a wound, so you can still use regen. And there are even some rules in the game, like character abilities, unit abilities, that say lose wounds. I think the Mortuary Cult Terrors Below says you just lose wounds, so you could still technically use a regen save versus that. But no longer from combat res, I lose by 10. You just crumble 10. You don't then get to take 10 regen saves. I'm glad they changed that. That's good. Well, that's a nerf to vampire counts a little bit. Okay. Ooh, look what they added for stupidity. Let me get in there. There we go. Unless it is fleeing or engaged in combat, a unit with this special rule must take, for stupidity, must take a leadership by making a leadership test during the start of the phase, start of turn stuff phase of each of its turns. Okay, no problem. But they can move now for fleeing. So they still are allowed to flee. So if you cause terror and they fail stupidity, yeah, that's right. So if I failed stupidity in my turn and you like charge me and I could take a flee check, or is that only flee from combat? But it doesn't say you can give ground. Okay, so you'd have to actually flee, so you could still stay exactly where you are if you only give ground. This makes me so sad. Okay, flail's still bad. All right, fine, GW. No sense. No sense. Okay. Woodland boundaries. Regardless of the position of any trees within the terrain feature, any model or unit counts behind as being behind partial cover as long as half of the model or over half of the models in the unit is within the woods. Did that used to be 25%? What's the big deal about that? I feel like that might have been 25% before. What's it called? Woodland boundaries. Woodland boundaries. Any model or unit counts to be behind as long as up to half, or up to half, and now I believe it says more than half, over half. Okay, so you have to be 50.0001. Here it is. Oh, as long as up to half of the model. So they just phrased it awfully. Up to half. Yeah, I remember that. Okay. Yes. So you could hide, like in a Pegasus unit, you could have one hiding behind the woods and the other four like sticking out, and you get cover. But now it's half or more. That's good. That's a good change. That's a good one. If the result exceeds the casting result, the spell is dispelled. Okay, I feel like that was already a thing. Match play guide. Baggage trains are treated as impassable terrain, but are ignored for the purposes of the line of sight. Why would they do that? I understand that's cool for the modeler's perspective, so you don't have to keep like an extra 60 by 100, like just black base or, you know, MDF, whatever, and then put your cool converted one on top, and then when they get there, they want to charge on it and like destroy it, and maybe you have a unit defending it behind it, take it off, and then you could like run through it because it was dangerous. But now it's impassable. That is much easier to defend in terms of a tactic standpoint. I think baggage trains have to be, is it 3 inches or 6 inches off the table edge? If it's 3 inches, then you could easily put it in a corner, and by most army units that are trying to get to you would have to go either just hit it straight on or go around it. Okay. Yeah, they did get the bag touch. Call me in. I'll chat about this weekend in Westminster. Oh yeah, that I forgot about that. Rob is running is it an RTT or is it just a GT? In Westminster, Maryland. I don't remember what their name is now. They used to be Tables and Towers. Shoot. Andrew, if you know. You can post the link if you want. If you have the link to the BCP, you're welcome to put it in there. And I think they're going to be using all this new stuff. I'm not sure when lists are due because I know they were waiting to see what this FAQ update had in store. So probably didn't change the list very much. RTT, it's just an RTT? Cool. Okay, cool. Baggage trains are impassable. So okay, ignore for line of sight. Man, I think that's making it impassable definitely is a little weird. Okay, so if you have a herdstone and a baggage cart or baggage train, can they be touching each other? So then you have a huge 100 millimeter plus the 6 inches. I don't know what millimeters is conversion, but let's just say it's like 10 inches wide. You have a 10-inch impassable. Don't really like that. Let's see how it works. Okay. Battle March, short edge to 15, between deployment zones 18. Oh, really? Okay. I'm surprised. Of course, it's not going to show it. Womp womp. Man, battle is listed 413 times in this rulebook. I am not going to do that to y'all. Or myself. Yeah, let's not do that to myself. I don't want to click that. Where are the oh yeah, they have all the names. All right. Oh, I hate this sometimes. Okay, cool. Thanks. Thanks, GW. Not your fault. This is my fault. I just want to blame somebody, so I'm just going to blame you. I'm sorry. You're just going to catch it. You're going to catch the strays. Battle March. On page 20? Oh, that's the War Saturated Fury. Oh my gosh. I was looking in the rulebook to change the deployment zones. Give me a break. Bazooka. That's it. It's called Bazooka. That's right. That's right. That's right. Bazooka in Westminster, Maryland. They are running an RTT this Saturday. All right. Let's see what we got. Is there a maximum beyond... Is there a maximum beyond which characteristics can be modified? Unless the rule specifically specifies a maximum? No. Which makes total sense. So if you're movement 10 and you have things that give you pluses to your movement, you can go over 10. 100%. I didn't think that was ever in question because... Well, no, that's not true. It was questioned, but I thought it had been clarified. But it makes sense to ask and have it in a FAQ. No problem. If a unit with oppressive battle rule has 2 fighting ranks, can I remove casualties from the 2nd rank? No. Okay, that's a big change. At Nova, it's if you're in the fighting rank, you basically die. So, and you took casualties. So you were allowed to take models from the 2nd rank because they're technically in the fighting rank. So if you had extra, if your models have 2 attacks each, you would only lose 1 attack from each of them. However, this is saying models in the 1st fighting rank, the rank in base contact with the enemy, fall first as casualties. So you will lose attacks. Okay, that's good. I don't know if it's a huge deal. I mean, maybe they thought it was a little gamey or a little too complicated. So they were just like, okay, just kill the guys up front. No problem with that. That's not a big enough change, I don't think, in math. So that's fine. Cool. If a unit contains models of 2 different troop types, how do I determine its maximum rank bonus? In such case, the troop type of the majority of the models determines the unit's max rank bonus. Sorry, let me reread that. If a unit contains models of 2 different troop types, so like a cavalry character or a chariot character inside a unit of infantry, yes, I rolled my eyes because it's ridiculous. If a unit contains a model of 2, how does it determine its maximum rank bonus? Oh, okay, so that's just not determining its rank bonus, just the maximum. So, okay, that's totally fine. Like if they're horde or if they're infantry or heavy infantry, how they determine how many ranks they can actually get. That's no problem. Not a huge deal there. Not a huge deal there. Oh, I don't see much. Okay, they're changing these a little bit. Can a unit that is partially on a hill shoot in 2 ranks? No. To claim the benefits of the hill, a unit must be entirely on a hill. So don't let people hang off half their models or even a model. They have to be fully on the hill entirely. Yep, so the entire base of every single model must be on the hill. Okay, that matters. That matters. What changed here? Models in a fighting rank cannot fight if they are killed before they have a chance to fight. Shocker. But can models in a second fighting rank, for Breath of Battle, fight if the front model is slain? And can a model make a supporting attack if the model in the fighting rank is in front of it is slain? Yes. Okay, so they're saying if you step up, you're already kind of in the fighting rank, so you still get a swing. Unless they have been killed, models that are in the fighting rank or that are able to make supporting attacks can do so as normal. In other words, casualties inflicted reduce, firstly, the number of models in the fighting rank that are able to fight, and secondly, the number of models in the supporting rank that are able to fight. I think that makes sense because step up, you used to not be able to swing at all. Basically, if you were in the second rank, your front rank model was killed, your model moves up, that model can't swing. But now if you have Press of Battle or Spears or something and you fight in 2 ranks, you were able to fight, so you're still able to fight even though you technically moved up. As long as you were able to fight initially, you're still able to fight. Now, if someone in the 3rd rank steps up into the 2nd rank, that model cannot fight because it wasn't initially able to fight. If that makes sense. I think that makes sense to me. Now, I know it makes sense to me. I just hope it makes sense to y'all. All right. What do we got next? So not crazy changes. Some of these aren't a huge deal. When a model fights, must it make all of its attacks or can it choose to fight to make fewer? Who in the world is... Who thinks that I could be like, I'm only going to attack with 1 attack of my... I have 10 attacks. I don't want you to die right now. I'm only going to swing 1. What? No. Who asked these questions? There's no way GW was bombarded with like 40 emails about this question. No way. No way. That would be nuts. A lot of gamey people out there. All right. Okay. On page 157, it states that units that pursue and catch an enemy that fell back good order count as having charge during the next turn. What exactly does this mean? Okay, exactly what it says. Good job, GW. Laying it on straight. Exactly what it says. You count as having charge. So if you have any special rules that benefit when you charge, you get them. Good job, you get them. You get them again. Or if you won and they pursued. The pursuing unit counts as having charged its enemy during the next turn of the game. When the combat is fought, even though the unit will not actually have moved during that turn. This means rules and weapons that can only be used for charging models, impact hits, lances, etc. The initiative modifiers for charging are granted based on the distance that the unit pursued and so forth. Makes total sense. That's I don't know, what are you saying, Andrew? Let's see. I've seen this Q&A across many game systems and years. Often when unit has a fun effect, if you hit me, you take damage. The opponent asks, do I have to attack? Answer is yes. If eligible, that's Warhammer. I agree. You shouldn't be able to say, I'm only going to swing 1. It's kind of ridiculous. So good job, GW, clarifying that. All right, we'll start on the left side because that's where we are. Can an invasive unit use that special rule whilst engaged in combat? Is this a troll? Isn't evasive like when you're targeted by like a shooting attack or something? Some of these questions are ridiculous. The fact that they had to be asked, this had to be the one where you move backwards, right? Like, if you're in combat, when is it possible to be declared during an enemy when the unit is declared the target during the enemy shooting phase? Okay, that makes sense, because I know Screams, you do declare a target, and you can target units in close combat. Okay, I take back my long stare into the camera because that's technically a fair question, but I'm trying to wonder what other unit can target a unit in combat with during the shooting phase other than a scream. Is there any other unit? Is there any other special ability? I don't think so. Okay, fair question. Fair question. Fair question. I'm allowed to make mistakes too. I do them. We all do. All right. Impact hits and stomp attacks cannot be directed against a character that has joined a unit unless that unit has a unit strength of 5 or less. Does the limitation also apply to unit champions? Yes. Interesting. Because we had been playing that you could do impact hits and direct them into champions to kill them. Because then you could impact hit with target, kill a champion, and then challenge out a character. But this is saying you cannot do that. Whilst unit champions are not characters, they function like characters in many ways. And this is one. Impact hits and stomp attacks are indiscriminate, and targeting specific models like unit champions is not possible unless there are fewer than 5 rank and file models in the unit. Okay, so you can no longer, you can no longer impact hit, kill a champion to then force a character to either accept or be sent to the back. All right, that's a good change. I'm okay with that. That's a good change. That's a good change. I like it. Oops, wrong way. Are wounds lost as a result of a model with timber falling on a unit counted towards the enemy's combat result score? Yes. Okay, that's... I don't think they wrote this one very well. I don't know if y'all read what I'm reading, because they're saying it either way. Okay, this is ridiculous. All right. If I have 2 units in combat, they're both mine, and you have 1 unit of combat, and my guy timbers on my own unit and kills my models, you get the combat result score. If I have timber and it lands on your unit, it counts towards your combat result score. It's not saying what I'm trying to get to here is it's not saying whose timber model, which unit gets killed, who gets the points. It's just saying if wounds are lost with timber, it's not saying my wounds or any wounds. It's just saying if wounds are lost via timber, it's counted towards the enemy's combat score. It's not saying if my models or your models. I think they need to rewrite that. Does that make sense? Are you sure? It just says if timber falls onto a unit, they're counted and they kill stuff, they're counted towards the enemy's combat result score. Let me read timber. Hold on. Is this how it's actually spelled in here? Hopefully it is clarified. Oh, where's timber at? How can it's not in the rulebook? I know it is, but where? Timber, is that just other monster somewhere? So it's not just Timber. It's not Timmemberr. 3 M's, 3 R's. Where's timber? Someone tell me. Anyone know what page is timber on? Okay, I think they need to rewrite that. See, this is what you need to hire me for, GW. Not even hire me. I'll just do it for free. I don't care. Just like let me read through your FAQs and be like, okay, you need to clarify. This needs to be whoever wins the timber roll It counts towards my score if I win the combat result score if I win the timber roll. That's what basically needs to happen. It's like, push the giant that way. Kill his own dudes, you know? And we get the bonus for that, and we cheer. All right, let's see. Can my army include a character that has a higher leadership than my general if that character has a special rule loner, for example, that prevents them from being a general? Oh, that's good. That's nice. That indirectly helps a legacy army. That indirectly helps Ogre Kingdoms because I believe a Slaughtermaster is leadership 8 and a Hunter is leadership 9. So you could never take a Hunter and have your Slaughtermaster as a general. I'm not sure what non-legacy armies does that help. Who has big loner characters with high leadership? That's not legacy. High elves, wood elves, dwarves. I don't know if dwarves have any. Beastmen, not Bretonia. Maybe if you made a Bretonian Duke, have like the Loner or Baron, their Loner special rule. I know there's a upgrade for that. That doesn't seem like viable, but I mean, I guess you could. Well, it helps out ogres. I'm trying to think who else it helps. Not sure. Okay. If my army includes a mercenary character, can I make them my general? No, that makes sense. An army's general must be one of the characters listed in the character selection of the army composition list you are using. Total sense to me. Fair question, though. Oh, this looks important. If there's no space for a character in the front rank of a unit with the Press of Battle special rule, there you go, can they join the second rank? No. Characters must be placed in the front rank. If this is not possible, they retire to the rear. Okay, that's important. Now, obviously, special or like army books trump rulebook, so damsels and stuff can still go in the second rank, no problem, or still retire to the rear, no problem. Characters must be placed in the front. This is not possible. They retire to the rear. So, okay, so that means no matter what, you can never have... I was talking to someone who was asking me the other day, if I have two characters in a unit, I have my three models of command and a rank and file model. So I'm 5 wide, or no, 4 wide. He wanted to go 4 wide. He wanted to do the command group and a character, but he wanted a second character in there. He was asking if they are in the second rank, can they cast spells and all that stuff. Now, they cannot do that. They have to go to the rear. Interesting. Okay. Can characters displace command group models into the second rank with the Press of Battle rule? No. Command group models must always be in the front rank of their unit. And that trumps characters. Command group always have to be in the front no matter what. Interesting. If a character is in the back rank of a unit due to there not being enough space for them in the front rank, do they confer any bonuses to the unit? Unless they have a special rule stating otherwise, no. Okay, so that is like, I know Skaven have that. I'm not sure who else has a special rule that applies when they're... I would assume the dwarf dug in because they say it doesn't go away when you retire from a challenge decline. Okay, actually doing this makes it more viable for characters on Pegasus in a unit of Pegasus to be more protected, because then they could go on regular Pegasus instead of Royal Pegasus, like the BSB, because the command would have to be up front, and then if you have a character on a different size base, would have to be on the edge, so then your BSB could be protected further. Okay. Okay, so I can't remember what I ruled or what the actual rules say about if a character is in a second rank, but I guess in this case, in the rear, if you have a caster in the rear of a unit, Can they cast spells? I assume so, right? Especially the spells that don't need line of sight. But I think when you're in a unit, just like a unit of archers or something without volley fire, you can see through, I think, your own unit unless you're skirmishers, and then you have to actually be able to see. So if you're in the rear rank of a unit, can you cast magic missiles out of that? Obviously, you can do hexes and augments because they don't need line of sight. They just need to be within your arc. So can you cast magic missiles from the rear? Does that mean you could really, really protect wizards? Someone help me out there. That's important. That's an important one. I don't want to have to post these questions around. Okay, that's an important one. Battlefield terrain. Defend, are skirmishers able to defend it? Yeah, just go and place base to base. That's fine. The army special rules extend to any mercenaries unless otherwise stated? No. Some war machines have. Oh, here we go. This is kind of the Cathay. Some war machines can have additional models attached to them, such as the Orc Bully. If the war machine is destroyed, or any attached models also destroyed? Yes. Makes sense. Same thing as the new Ogre for Cathay and their cannon. But they need to clarify probably how the combat works, because that gets a little convoluted. Let's see. Oh, this seems important. Okay, if a unit is limited to, for example, 0 to 3 per specific type of character, or 0 to 3 per 1,000 points, how many such units can I field in a 2,000-point army in an event that is using combined arms army composition? You can field up to 3 per character in the first example, and up to 6 in total in the second example. Combined composition rules only restrict units with no other restriction on them. If a unit has any form of restriction, that takes precedence. Note that +1, for example, is a restriction. All right, so does that mean at 2,000 points you could take 6 cannons? At 2,000 points? Even though the army comp for combined arms, it's like 0 to 4 in special. So that would allow you to take 6. Is that what that's saying? I don't like that, if that's what that's saying. But I think most events are just saying 0 to 4 of any, or sorry, special would be 0 to 3, right? It's 0 to 4 core, 0 to 3 special, 0 to 2 rare. But even though it says 0 to 3 special for most events, this is saying you could take 6. Pardon me. All right. That's too many cannons. If you read it correctly, you must do what is most limiting. Yeah, but that's saying army restriction. So a cannon, war machines are like 0 to 3 per 1,000 points, or no, it's like, I can't remember what cannons are. But I think that means you could take 6 cannons. Because I think it's 0 to 3 per 1,000 or something, 0 to 3 war machines per 1,000, something like that. Which is, they might just be my vibe, though. That might just be my vibe. Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah. I thought you meant 6 cannons. I was like, well, hey, if that's your vibe. But no, I think I know what you're saying. Okay, 6 cannons. That's kind of crazy. All right. Oh, man, I'm glad they clarified this one. Can a unit control more than one objective on the battlefield? For example, can a unit control a special feature, a battlefield objective, and a secondary objective such as baggage train all at the same time? No. If a unit is in position to control 2 or more objectives, you must choose one for it to control. Good, because you could string out a long unit of infantry, skirmishers, whatever, anything, and control multiple. So I'm glad they clarified that. But that's it. Not as many changes as I was hoping for. Nerf to Cathay, that's good. I'm going to go to the tops. Nerf to Cathay. Baggage trains becoming impassable. A couple clarifications with some rules that I never even questioned, like evasive. Would never have thought that. Spawn changing their movement. Pegasus being changed to monstrous creatures. So, I mean, stuff that's impactful, right? Something's got hurt a little bit. Beastman Viletide going up a casting value, but nothing. I think the most impactful thing is probably the Cathay, right? Because Cathay, a good Cathay player with comp that it's just like 0 to 3, then you're just maxing out balloons and cannons and you're just winning. I think it's very easy to win with that. If you're a competent player versus two even generals, one's running Cathay with all those balloons and the other one's not, the balloons are winning, just basically hands down. So that's good change. But what are my overall thoughts? I was wishing for more, hoping for more. I think them not touching Legacy is kind of a disappointment. Making unstable, you don't get to take regen for unstable. That's a good change. Frenzy not being fixed. Flails not being fixed. Fanatics not being fixed. Screams, Undead, I think Vampire counts. Well, it's just Legacy. They need something else. Sadly, Screams is like the only thing they really have. I mean, they have some other tricks, I guess, but Scream is their most oppressive. But nothing crazy. Nothing too crazy other than Cathay. But that is an hour and a half of my time. Thank you all for watching and listening and hanging out with me. Andrew, I appreciate you commenting. Like, really swell. It's always nice to have someone bouncing some ideas off of and some engagement, you know? We want some positive engagement. I just submitted events for Nova, which is cool. I am redoing... yeah, so we're going to do the 3K, we're going to do the doubles and the GT. If there's any suggestions on comp or cool missions or anything like that, please just message me on Facebook. You can just type in SquareHammer. Hopefully I show up. And that's it. I'm going to probably go play maybe some Arc Raiders or something. It's a fun game. There are some rats there and there are some tryhards, but the Arc Raiders is a fun one. Maybe I'll play some Battlefield with people. I'm not really sure. Maybe even the Old World. The Old World. But that's it. Thanks for watching. SquareHammer out. Blue out. Cheers to the next time. I'll try and interview some players in GTs, maybe some winners, and then maybe also some TOs for upcoming events, and we can just talk about their upcoming tournament. Thanks, guys. Stay square.